I am not a fan of big corporations, and there are definitely pros and cons to working for a big business or a big company as opposed to a small business and a small company. And I'm going to kind of lay out one of the major cons for this. But to do so, I want to tell you a story from when I worked at the hospital, which was obviously a big corporation, a big company, a lot of money involved in that, and very powerful. I had this coworker, we're gonna call her Megan for the sake of the story. So Megan was an older lady. I don't know why she's not retired. I think she actually told me she needed to work, but yeah, this person was kind of a lowlife, and I don't really like to use that kind of language, but she was definitely a lowlife. And I could definitely tell you some other stories about Megan, so let me know in the comments if you want to hear other stories about Megan that proves that she's a lowlife. Anyhow, that aside, she worked third shift, right? And that is a vulnerable shift. There's only one person and it's the ER, right? So there's only one person that's able to be on staff during third shift doing registration, so checking people in as they come into the ER. It's a pretty important job, right? Because it's the ER. So she would constantly called in. And her guise for calling in was, oh, I have FMLA. And she was doing a lot of different sicknesses and whatnot. She would use her FMLA to call in like pretty much every other day. She could not go a month without calling in at least 5-6 times. I don't know why she was on third shift, to be honest, because the first and second shift have 2 people. So why don't they put her on one of those and put somebody else on third shift who's a little bit more reliable? Whatever, not my monkey, not my circus anymore. But she would call in 5 times, but because she had FMLA, nobody could ever say anything. And the con I guess I'm speaking of here is that there are people up here in big companies who are solely looking at things from like a financial or legal or whatever perspective, and they're not seeing all the stuff that goes on down here. So they're like way up here and they're very disconnected from like what's actually happening, and they're making judgments about what's happening down here. And actually at this job, which I'll probably make a whole separate video about because this is going to be a drama-y story that you guys are gonna like, but I got written up like 3 times, and I'm like, you guys are seriously gonna risk pissing off one of your employees who shows up and does their job and does it very well? You're gonna risk pissing somebody off like that and not risk or not even talk to or not address this other person calling in on third shift, which means that leaders have to come cover her shift. You're really gonna risk that? I mean, again, it was higher ups telling them to do that, but like, seriously? Ugh.